Very Bad Wizards is a podcast with a philosopher, my dad, and a psychologist, Dave Pizarro, having an informal discussion about issues in science and ethics. Please note that the discussion contains bad words that I'm not allowed to say, and knowing my dad, some very inappropriate jokes.
Are you a man?
Aye, and a bold one, that dare look upon that which might appall the devil.
The great Oz has spoken! Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain!
Who are you? Who are you? A very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Good man. They think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have.
Pay no attention to that man!
Anybody can have a brain.
You're a very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Just a very bad wizard.
Welcome to Very Bad Wizards. I'm Tamler Summers from the University of Houston. Dave, wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage?
I wouldst? It sounds like Shakespeare totally is biting David Milch's flow. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's true. Some of the cadence even is copying David Milch. So anyway, if you couldn't tell from that opening question, we're doing some Shakespeare for our main segment today. Our first Shakespeare play ever.
Literally the first Shakespeare play I've ever read.
Really?
Yeah. It's like embarrassing, but I'm proud. Like, I'm also proud, and I'll talk more about that. But it's popped my Shakespeare cherry.
Nice. Did it hurt?
It was gentle.
Yeah, that's gentle. Good. Well, great. I can't wait to talk about that and about Macbeth. I think it's a long time coming, and this is a good introduction because it's a very short play.
Yeah, it's perfect for that reason.
Yeah, it's like half the length of Hamlet, but it's great. But first, so why did we do Macbeth this time?
We needed some ideas, and as we do often, twice a year, pretty much, we turn to our listeners to steal some ideas. We need content.
Our patrons in particular.
Yeah, our patrons. Was that an early one?
It was, Jeffrey Watermill of Ask Us Anything fame.
Among other things. Yeah.
Among other things. Working with Chomsky and all that. So he has been suggesting it for a while, along with Kurosawa's Throne of Blood, the Joel Coen movie that came out a few years ago. He floated it again for the top call for topics, and we were in need of a topic, so I proposed it, and you said yes.
Yeah, I'm really glad. I said yes.
Me too. It could be a new fruitful avenue for us.
Yeah. But on that note...
Yeah, we are going to... Okay, so this is a new thing that we're going to try. We are going to pick 16 topics right now among the 122 or something that we got from our listeners. And the way we're doing it this time is it's going to be a tournament for certain tiered listeners to get to vote every round, like the NCAA, any kind of tournament.
Yeah.
Bracket style. Although I don't know if, I guess we can figure out how to do the bracket. I don't know. We haven't put a huge amount of thought into how we're going to set that up. But in any case, our patrons at the tier where you can do this will then vote, and we will end up with a topic that you and I have to do. We are bound to do.
It's great. I'm like, this was your idea. Like, I actually think it's great. I have no doubt that it's going to go wonderfully. And the thing I like about it is it makes us a little bit more active in this, because this means that we have to pit topics against each other when we do it.
Yeah, we have to seed it. I think that would be
Exactly.
fun. Yeah, totally. I've been wanting to do a tournament of some kind every time the NCAA tournament in March comes around. Yeah, I think this is a good way to do it. So here's how we're going to approach it this time. Each of us just gets to put, with no veto power from the other, 5 topics. They just automatically get in.
Yeah.
And then we are going to haggle around the other 6.
Yeah. Now, I feel like we're going to have more overlap. We always try to guess. Like, I think we're going to have at least 2 overlaps.
In our original 5.
In our 5, yeah.
Yeah, which will mean we have to pick more if we do. How should we do it? Should we alternate? Should we just give our
let's alternate.
5s? Okay.
Let's alternate. This is in not real order.
Yeah,
Obviously.
definitely not for me. Yeah.
But I'm picking it because I think you might have it, and that's Calvino's Invisible Cities.
Oh, I do have it.
Yeah, that was the one I was like. So Cucumber McPickle, I think, was at least one of the people to suggest this, but other listeners have suggested it before, and I just want to do it. Like I just been.
Me too. Yeah, a bunch of listeners have suggested it, so this will be a good excuse if it wins to get it up there. All right. Yeah. On that note, I will do another very short novel that has been suggested to us before. And that's Thomas Pynchon's The Crying of Lot 49.
Ooh.
Have you read a Pynchon?
Never. No.
Yeah. You might break your Pynchon chair.
Yeah. Like a lot of virginity being lost.
Blood everywhere.
See, you were an English major, but you're also like a more avid fiction reader. So what is this about?
It's like a lot of Pynchon, and it's been a while since I've read it. It's probably been 20 years. But it's this woman that gets caught in some kind of large conspiracy that becomes quite surreal, becomes very hard to know what's true and what isn't, what's real and what isn't. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with one that I almost didn't go with because I feel like we would do it eventually anyway, and that's There Will Be Blood.
Oh, interesting. That's good.
Yes. So this time, Tate Pafil suggested it. And yeah, like the last time I saw it, I was like, and I remember liking it the first time, but the second time I was like, oh, this is kind of a masterpiece.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think it's kind of perfect for us in a lot of different ways. Okay, good. Already trying to think of how to seed this.
Yeah.
Okay. When I put out the call on Patreon, I said don't suggest whole books because we're unlikely to pick them. But I do have not only one other book, but 2 other books. So this would have to be, a little like Joseph Campbell. It would be more of a project. This is from Fareed. And I think you could maybe get on board with this, although it doesn't matter because it's really just up to the voters. But he says, I know you're unlikely to read long books, but how about listening to Cormac McCarthy's The Passenger and Stella Maris? And he says they're both well-performed audiobooks. I am currently reading The Passenger, and it's great. Like, it's Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I again, one of those that after our 3-parter,
yeah, 3-parter on Blood Meridian.
On Blood Meridian, I think definitely I'm on board with reading Cormac McCarthy. And those 2 are one's a sequel. Is that right?
I don't know, honestly. I know that you're supposed to read The Passenger before Stella Maris. I think Stella Maris is more unusual formally. It has a different style of presentation. And it's amazing. It should give us hope. Not that I'm going to live till I'm 87 or whatever he was, but that's when he wrote these.
That's crazy.
It's incredible.
Yeah. The older I get, the more I like to look at old people who have done things and hope that I will do something eventually. It's sort of fun.
Yeah.
I'm I've been holding on to Kant wrote the Critique when he was 50,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Too late for me, but I guess you still have a few more months.
A little bit of time, a few more months. Okay, on that note, I don't know if you have this, but we've definitely talked about it. I was willing to put a book, The Stranger. Yeah.
I did have it.
But yeah, Camus' The Stranger.
Okay, The Stranger would be great. Another short novel. Oh, by the way, Boss Mimpin, I think, suggested The Stranger.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, that's right. Boss Mimpin.
Christopher, another book, but apparently it's short. I think it's really short. It's 70 pages or something. Christopher Irving suggested Byung-Chul Han's The Burnout Society.
Oh, yeah. Was he, there was a list of his books?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Burnout Society was the one that, I don't know, leapt out to me. I don't know why this is one of mine, actually, but it seems good. And there were a lot of people that kind of seconded it.
Do
you know that?
I feel no, and I feel the need to tell some people. I think I've said this before. Sometimes, like, I know so little about a thing that is suggested that, like, don't take it personally. That I just have no idea. Like, this was one of the ones where I'm like, I don't know anything about these. All right, this one I doubt you have, but one of our listeners, Ald510, suggested a Twilight Zone episode, and the one he suggested was an occurrence at Owl Creek's Bridge.
Which one was that?
I don't know. I don't remember that particular episode. That one's about a Civil War soldier, but it's a later one and I don't remember it. But what I was going to pitch, taking Ald510 as inspiration, was, I don't know how big a fan of Twilight Zone you are, but it's like I've loved it for a long time and I actually just watch episodes randomly sometimes. So like at some point I would be happy to like just say these 3 episodes, they're like 22 minutes long, and just do some Twilight Zone.
Can you do that as just like...
Can I alter the listener's choice?
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me. Is there a rule?
I mean, like the whole point is they get to vote on
We could put
something.
that episode. I just think that one 22-minute episode is not enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't say anything. We're still in the
That's right.
no veto. All right. So Tom Parkinson asked a Martin McDonagh film. He said 3 Billboards, Banshees, or In Bruges. I'm going to throw of those In Bruges on there.
Okay. Yeah.
I would love to do In Bruges.
Yeah, I'm super down. I'm surprised we haven't done it because I think we've talked about doing it.
We've
so many
definitely
times.
talked about it. I would love to just be forced to do In Bruges.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to decide between a couple for my 5th. All right. I'm going to, despite the fact that this would be terrible for me, Hanno Langfelder asked about behavioral genetics.
Ugh.
And this is one of those topics like intelligence or whatever that it would like, it's super interesting. There's a lot there, but it would take a lot of preparation to do some justice. So I was thinking there's a recent Catherine Page Harden book called The Genetic Lottery that's about this specifically that I've heard good things about. So I'd be willing to just sacrifice my time and sanity to do behavioral genetics.
Love it. I think there would be a lot of interesting stuff for us.
Yeah, like twin studies and just even how they go about making those claims, like it would be up your alley about like just learning about the measurement aspect of it, like because there's just, it relies on methods that some people think are not good.
Yeah, interesting. That's a great one. And I do appreciate that you would take
I would
some
throw
of the
myself
burden
over
of
saying
that.
it's so stupid. I'm so stupid.
All right, do I have one more left?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
But do you? Is the
But
question.
do I? Well, no, I have a bunch that I'm trying to decide between. Zach Katopodis, likely Greek, suggested Schopenhauer's essays on the suffering of the world and the vanity of existence. Those are 2 different essays, usually presented back to back, total under like 40 pages, he says. I would like to do Schopenhauer. Every time I read about him and somebody quotes something from him, it just seems kind of profound and dark and vaguely Buddhist and
also we looked like I remember looking. We had a moment where we were like, let's do some Schopenhauer, but we didn't have like a good suggestion for a specific work, and I was a little bit lost, trying to find some. So I'm glad there's a suggestion.
So how many do we have now?
Now we have 10.
Okay, great. So now we got to haggle on the rest. And I actually have some good ones on the rest.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go. Jake said try some Hemingway short stories. And I would totally like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was literally the one that I was going to say.
No,
So,
good. Yeah.
Awesome.
So he suggested Hills Like White Elephants, The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber, and The Snows of Kilimanjaro.
I would say of those, I know I love The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber. It's been a while, but I remember that quite well. And then Hills Like White Elephants, I also remember was very good, although I can't remember the first thing about it. But I think that would be a great episode, is just you and I talking about a Hemingway story.
I would love that. I haven't read any of those.
Have you read any Hemingway? Like, did you read Sun Also Rises?
I read The Old Man and the Sea, like you have to in high school.
Yeah.
But I feel like another book, maybe one other Hemingway book.
Farewell to Arms.
Maybe.
For Whom the Bell Tolls. It's been like I wrote those in my 20s, like one would expect of someone like me.
Right. Did it inspire you to do anything?
It did. I had a wineskin. It's so embarrassing. Like I literally would walk around like parties with the wineskin.
Oh my God.
It's like like how did people not just punch me in the face and like give me like Indian sunburns like all day?
Native American sun.
Native American sunburns. Sorry. Yeah.
All right, good.
All right. So that's yours, which was again what I was about to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's definitely on. So that's 11. James suggested something that I believe has come up previously, but it's called Bullshit Jobs. It's a book by David Graeber. Did you look into that at all?
I didn't, but we had an AUA about that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, so that's the only reason it's like I had even heard of it.
Yeah, so it's like by an anthropologist. It's a book, but we might not have to do the whole thing. Here's just what the Wikipedia says. That postulates the existence of meaningless jobs and analyzes their societal harm. He contends that over half of societal work is pointless and becomes psychologically destructive when paired with a work ethic that associates work with self-worth.
368 pages.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that doesn't make it. All right, I'll throw this out there. Saussation, Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulacrum.
Yeah. No, the only thing I know about it is like it played some role in inspiring The Matrix, maybe.
Yeah.
But I know nothing about it. But it's a pretty fucking badass title.
I think it's like, it's a little continental, maybe a little phenomenology-ish, but will we be able to understand it? Not clear.
Right.
We'll have to look more into that, I think.
When we do these, I realize we have a lot more continentally vibed listeners than I usually think.
Well, that's just like normal. Like having taught in philosophy departments, that's what they really want to take. They want to take like continental and 19th and 20th century. Like that's what they really want because that's how you get into philosophy if you don't go to a graduate program, Like that's how I got into philosophy.
That's true. Like meaning of life. Yeah. That's how I got it. Like existentialism is what drew me. I would put that though. I would put that on the brackets. It's a short book, 164 pages.
Okay. All right, cool.
I'd like to be kind of forced to do some things.
I would love that. There's another one I'll just throw out in that vein right now, but it's too long, so I'm just going to ask listeners. So Jacob Koff recommended Phenomenology of Perception by Merleau-Ponty. Again, he's one of these people, whenever he's quoted or when I hear about his work, it just seems really interesting. Stuff that I think we could spend hours talking about. But that's a long book. And so we need a more manageable chunk or maybe a piece of secondary literature. I don't know. But so if anyone has any suggestions on that front, I've been wanting to do more Merleau-Ponty either in a class or for this for a long time.
Yeah, I was considering it on this list, but not knowing because I've sort of like been Merleau-Ponty curious.
Yeah.
So Simulacra and Simulacrum, Hemingway short stories. So we have 12 so far. I had A Hunger Artist.
Yes.
Yeah?
Totally.
Okay.
Put it on there by Kafka.
Great. Oh, yeah, that was Silas, by the way, who suggested A Hunger Artist.
All right. Sean McDonough. So he recommended two things, both of which I think might be interesting. Something by Emerson. He said Self-Reliance. I think someone else suggested that. But then he also said Oedipus, the King by Sophocles, which I read for the first time recently because we did it in the Great Books class. Pretty interesting.
I would be down to put Oedipus on there in part because like we've never done one of those like plays.
Yeah, we've never done a Greek tragedy.
No.
It's probably not my favorite, although I think it's really good. But yeah, there's a bunch we could do. We could do Electra. We could do Medea. Yeah, there's a lot. So, yeah.
Medea, the Tyler Perry?
Yeah, yeah. We can watch all of the Tyler Perry movies. So maybe Oedipus?
Yeah, let's put Oedipus there. All right. I don't know about this. This could be like a terrible, terrible suggestion or kind of interesting. But Hit It in Quidditch said, why not Midlife Crises?
Yeah.
Like, and it seems like kind of intriguing to me, just like, is there a sociological fact of the matter about whether these things exist? And are we in one?
Yeah, are we in one? Is I think,
Or
the
are we
key
past
question.
it? Like,
Yeah.
are we past them?
Right. Can you still say we're in midlife?
Yeah, we're optimists about how long we're going to live.
We're starting the descent. We need to put up the tray tables and put our seat backs up. Yeah. So I would do that one. I actually was going to pick one from Hit It and Quidditch as well. Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman.
Is that good? I've like heard the title, but I have no idea what it's about.
I think it's a little like the McLuhan kind of approach to media and what it does.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think he says if it's good, if you can get past all the boomer takes. I did look
Right.
through it at some point, and there were some boomer takes. But yeah, I think it would be quite relevant to our current world.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd do Amusing Ourselves to Death. And then, maybe take some time to think about midlife crises and not put it on the...
Well, we need a text, I feel like, for midlife crises.
for sure. Not just introspection.
I mean, I suppose it could be like any like John Updike or like Philip Roth novel.
Right.
So how many is that?
If we put Amusing Ourselves, that's 15.
Okay. All right. What do you got?
Only one, well, two, but I'm not sure. So 2 people suggested Kaio Kenup and Kieran Kirk. Wow, very alliterative suggestors there. Suggested Dark Side of the Moon. But like maybe we've avoided music for a reason. I don't know.
I don't
What do
know
you
if I
think?
can talk like
Music and poetry are like our weak spots. Like
Yeah.
they're like we're just super insecure spots, maybe.
Yeah, we don't do poetry really at all. I just like I wouldn't know how to go about doing that because I've never done anything like that before. If we were going to do an album, Dark Side would be awesome.
Right.
Like that would be a perfect one. But like I just don't want to be like, no, us and them. That's awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I'll pitch. Maybe we try one day to do something music for a bonus episode. It doesn't have to be an album. Like maybe that requires a lot.
Could be a song.
It could be a song. We could do top 5.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
okay.
ease our way into becoming music critics.
Okay. And then the last one that I have, which I'm only bringing up now because you might be into it too, is Waiting for Godot.
Yeah, like now that we are a play podcast, that could be really good. I think when we last thought, I think we even put it on the list at one point.
Yeah,
it
we
was
did,
a finalist. And there's good, I think, on YouTube performances
Right.
of it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. We did have that. I'm not, but I don't feel strongly about that. What do you got for the last slot?
All right, I'll just list off a bunch, and I won't list their names. Someone suggested Filial Morality by both Christina and Hoff Summers, my stepmother, and also my dad. They both co-authored that, but
That's so funny.
yeah, I think it was my dad feeling like I wasn't being dutiful enough as a son when he wrote that. But yeah, I actually don't even know if I've ever read that essay, so I don't know. The Witch by Robert Eggers, but yeah. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He's kind of like a German meditation teacher. I've watched a few of his things. I think it'd be funny. I think it was a joke, but it would be kind of funny.
He's a like Kendrick Lamar's guru.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's very all his videos on YouTube have like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views or millions at times. And he's just this kind of, nebbishy German guy, if you can put those two together, those two words. But, actually, I think he has a lot of insight and I've definitely gained something. It would be funny to see what you thought of him. And it's just also funny, he just has that German accent.
My initial reaction is I don't want to talk about that guy, which is why I think we should put him at 16 and see.
Let the people decide. That sounds good. The only other one I had was Parmenides. Demlet said Plato's Parmenides, which I've never read, I don't think, or if I have, it was in grad school. And just a Plato dialogue. I feel like we could do a Plato dialogue at some point. And then Slaughterhouse 5 by Vonnegut.
Oh, yeah, Slaughterhouse 5.
but
Yeah.
I kind of like your idea of putting.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. And I think we have we could do another dialogue as part of our, classics.
Yeah,
What do we-
exactly.
Back to basics.
Back to basics. Yeah, we're due for one of those.
Yeah, we are.
All right, so that's the list. We're going to seed them, and very soon we will put the first round up for our beloved Patreon supporters at the $10 and up level. And thank you, everybody, for all. We are going to go to these, whether they win or not, or we'll always go to these. I say
As evidenced by today's
as evidenced by today's topic. And speaking of that, we'll be right back to talk about Shakespeare's Macbeth.
I miss her so much.
We're at the predictable time of the episode where we say thank you. Thank you to everybody for all the ways in which you've supported us. We really wouldn't be here without you. So if you would like to engage with us a little bit, want to get a hold of us, you can email us at verybadwizards@gmail.com. You can tweet or Blue Sky or whatever to us at Tamler, at Peas, or at verybadwizards. You can engage in conversations with some other Very Bad Wizards listeners, some arguments, at reddit.com/r/verybadwizards. You can follow us on Instagram at verybadwizards. And if you so desire, if you see it as something you're willing to do, you can go on to Apple Podcasts, give us a rating, and maybe even a review. You can also do that on Spotify. And if you'd like to support us in those more tangible ways that we always speak of, you can go to our support page there and find some links to donate one time or recurring via PayPal. You can get some merch, some t-shirts, some mugs. And of course, you can be one of our beloved Patreon members. Join the Patreon community where we give you something back for the generous support. If all you want to do is show us some support, get a back catalog of ad-free episodes and some of my beat compilations, you can do that for only $2 a month. If you want access to our, at this point, hundreds of hours of bonus content, including our regular Severance podcast with Paul Bloom, the Reintegrators, where we have covered every episode up until now this season. And also, if you love Paul Bloom, as many of you do, you can hear, for instance, he and I talking about Star Trek episodes. Tons and tons of bonus content. If you want access to that, $5 a month. At the $10 per month and up, you get all of that bonus content plus access to our Karamazov Brothers, the 5-part series, some intro psych video lectures that I've put up, and some of Tamler's Plato lectures. And you get the ability to vote on an episode topic that we do a couple of times a year. And then finally, at the $20 and up tier, you get all of the things that I just mentioned, but you get to ask us a question for an Ask Us Anything series that we do monthly. At the bonus tier, $5 per month and up, you also get access to listen to that. At the $20 tier, you can ask us a question and watch us on video, unedited, which is kind of important because some of them really need editing. So once again, thank you to everybody for that support. You're the reason that we are going on year 13 now of doing this. We wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate it.
All right, let's get to our discussion of Shakespeare's Macbeth. We both also watched Joel Coen's movie, The Tragedy of Macbeth. So we've both read and seen this play. It's by William Shakespeare. He was a playwright from the late 1500s, early 1600s, lived in Stratford-upon-Avon, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
So this one is, they say, was probably first performed in 1606. It is his shortest tragedy, and just much shorter even than most of the comedies. I think only A Comedy of Errors is shorter.
Yeah, I was reading about the shortness of it and that some people think like it was, this like condensed version that was not meant to be the full version, but we just don't have the full version or whatever. But the pacing is really good.
Yeah, it's a page turner. Hamlet you have to really dive into, and it's much more intricate and intellectual.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, it is kind of a weird thing that I've never read Shakespeare, but like I'm so happy right now that we're getting to talk about it and that we chose this. And so I just want to communicate a little bit about what it feels like to be Shakespeare blind for 50 years, because that's what I've been. And for whatever reason, I didn't take, like, British literature was an option in my high school, but I didn't take it. I took American literature, and then I just never got around to reading it. And it's obviously like, you soak in the language of Shakespeare if you're anywhere in an English-speaking country, and probably more than that. And to be able to read Macbeth and see the context for like where some of these things come from, and to like, I don't know how to say this, but it sounds so dumb to say, turns out Shakespeare's good.
Yeah.
Because that was what I was feeling. I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, I will say, like, it's kind of hard. If it weren't for watching a performance, I would have had more trouble following the written word. And that's what's always put me off about it. Shakespeare language is hard for me to follow.
Yeah. I mean, because we have to read it in the Old English form.
Yeah.
If this was a French play, we would just get a translation that would probably be
and
modernized.
Right.
But because he was a genius, probably the best to ever do it, write in English, they're not going to mess with it. Yeah. So I have read a lot of Shakespeare. I took a Shakespeare class in college. I did a semester abroad in London and saw a bunch of Shakespeare then. And really just nobody beats the British at performing Shakespeare. Macbeth, actually, so I've never taught it. I'm sure we read it in college, but that was forever ago. But also in college, I had a job as an usher at the theater, and they were playing Macbeth. And I just watched, so I probably watched it then like 7 or 8 times. And it was a good production. It was solid. And yeah, it's just so much fun. I mean, with the witches, the weird sisters, the Lady Macbeth dynamic, and the violence and paranoia. The it's kind of like the Shakespeare's Nukem problem in terms of like how people decide things that have been prophesized. You know what I mean? Like there's some weird paradoxes or at least questions that they wrestle with explicitly, both Banquo and Macbeth. And it's so relevant. Like you feel like you can identify people that you know in your life that have some of Macbeth in them or some of Lady Macbeth in them, or they're faced with this position in their life where they don't know if they've hit a ceiling, and what would they do to get above that ceiling in their world, in their job, and it has this great kind of supernatural, mysterious, but also highly relatable that I think is that's very characteristic of his best stuff. Yeah. He's good, you said.
It turns out. The moral psychology of it is really good too. It's the dealing with the guilt, the burden of having done something pretty terrible is something that, you get in Dostoevsky, like a Raskolnikov style. It's, I think, just a very keen treatment of ambition turned wrong, like sort of like, it's
guilt,
good psychology.
You forget why you even wanted to do it in the first place. This thing that you desired and lusted for, now that you have it, depending on how old the characters are. And one thing that's interesting about the Joel Coen movie is that they're old, they're like in their 60s, and that's not how I've seen them before. And, and they're childless in their 60s. So if you think about someone at that age facing these decisions, it's different than if they're 30 or 29 and they might have a bunch of kids, and so that's really interesting. But certainly this idea of midlife crises came up when I was watching the movie, and also just how you do one act that you think, okay, this is bad, but it's for a good cause, and then all of a sudden that just leads to you have like 15 new murders that you have to commit, and it all starts piling on you, and it's just
now that you say it, I'm like, oh, total Cohen neo-noir plot.
yes.
100%. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Think of Fargo. Think of what's his name in Fargo. Oh no, we're just gonna fake kidnap my wife, and it's for a good cause, and it's for this, like it's for ambition. It's for the thing that he wanted.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to get in about like having not known the plots, like not read Shakespeare, is that in getting popular culture telling you all these famous Shakespeare quotes and like hearing them, it's so embarrassing, dude. But like I watched Good Morning Vietnam, and there's like a riff that Robin Williams is doing where he's pretending to be John Wayne doing Shakespeare, and he goes, "Is this a dagger I see before?" That's like I hear. That's my interpretation of that line.
No, actually, that came to me too when I actually couldn't remember what it was from. I was like, why do I have John Wayne?
But all of Shakespeare is like different quotes and different like characters are all like one morass of Shakespeare to me. The witches, the double boil and trouble.
Yeah. Something wicked this way comes. Like
something wicked this way comes. Incredible. Yeah. There's so many of those where I was like,
There's probably like 30 novels that are titled
Sound and the Fury.
Signifying nothing.
Yeah.
But can we just be honest about why you liked Macbeth, really? It's in the recipe, the witch's recipe, the brew, eye of newt, liver of the blaspheming Jew. That's what you loved going into the potion.
I knew that Shakespeare had a thing with Jews, a little Shylock thing. I didn't know that he included it. You guys and the Tartars. I love that Cohen included that.
Yeah. So we're going to talk mostly about the play and not about the movie. Should we just briefly get out of the way our thoughts about the movie?
Sure. I really liked it. I mean, again, listeners have to take everything I say with a grain of salt, given that I can't compare it to a lot of things. I mean, I love Denzel, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to get past that it's Denzel, which we can talk about. I mean, there's obviously great performances by a bunch of people. Like I was thinking Brendan Gleeson when you were talking about British people being good at performing this. Like Brendan Gleeson is just like, oh yeah, like I would watch him do Shakespeare all day. I love that.
He gets dispatched pretty early, though.
He does. The main thing I wanted to say, because then we can talk about obviously the themes of Macbeth, but I thought that the visual style that he chose worked for me. It didn't distract at all. It made it feel like it was a stage performance without being bound to a stage in a way that I thought worked.
Totally. That's my favorite thing about it. The look of it. At times, it almost looks like you're watching someone who videotaped a stage performance, but then it takes advantage of that to then surprise you in all these really cool ways. I thought, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The lighting is amazing.
And I like the format of it with the like kind of rounded 4:3 aspect ratio, like it's a film strip or something. It's very cool. And it's black and white. We didn't mention, but it's beautiful in that way.
It's also black and white in that it's Denzel and Frances McDormand.
That's right. And if I have an issue with it, because I definitely... Denzel at first, it was like I was hard to just get out of my mind that that's Denzel.
Totally understandable.
But I didn't think Frances McDormand was very good.
Yeah, and that bums me out a little bit because I kind of agree with you, and the dynamic of the character Lady Macbeth just requires, I think, something more.
It's such a good character, and it's seen, and like an actress should knock that out of the park. And I just didn't find anything that interesting about her performance. They have a few good interactions together, Denzel and Frances McDormand. So that was a flaw for me. But overall, I thought it's very cool, and it's kind of violent, more violent than some of the Macbeths I've seen, and it's just fun, and it moves.
Yeah. I liked the Macduff character. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Corey Hawkins, is that his name?
Corey Hawkins, that's right. Yeah.
Do Corey Hawkins played Dre in Straight Outta Compton?
That's who. Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any big thought. Like I thought it presented the play, and you got the power of a lot of it. Oh, I should say, if the look of it is my favorite, and also the performance of the witches, who's just played by one woman.
Catherine Hunter.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And in that first scene, it's just like
what is she doing with her body?
I know. It's like Cirque du Soleil shit. Yeah, and it's spooky and weird and funny. And, the witches are super interesting. Like, maybe we should bridge into talking about them. But what is going on with them? Who do they serve? To what extent are they inventing this stuff, or and trying to make it happen? Like, how do you interpret the witches, given that that's where the play starts?
I had to learn this. They're referred to as the Weird Sisters, but weird didn't mean like strange like it means to us now. It meant something more like fate. I take it to be that they're the personification of fate, and at least the vibe I get is we're not supposed to know these things, and somehow he got access to them, and they're like, the fates. They're literally,
But fate doesn't have intentions, right? Like fate is fate, but they seem like they have some kind of agenda, or at least that's how it seems to me sometimes. They're taking pleasure. They're choosing their words of what they reveal carefully, almost as if they want to bring about something.
They're fucking with him. Like they are, like I feel like that, like that's right. But there is a general, I think, theme, like that it's unnatural, and this gets to like just a general theme of the play. Like, but I think it's kind of unnatural to know your future.
Yeah,
and I think they probably are taking delight in every once in a while revealing futures to humans and seeing what happens, because like nothing else other than what they reveal can happen. And it's what you were saying earlier. Like it is this sort of weird paradox, like time travel-y, where you're like, wait, so there's nothing Macbeth can do, but on the other hand, he's taking active steps to like make it come true. So it's like, what is going on in the mind of somebody who's,
Well, that's the difference between him and Banquo. Macbeth says, do I help chance along? And at that point, he's explicitly facing this question. So the witches, after a battle in which Macbeth and I think Banquo acquitted themselves well with bravery, they just appear as they're walking back from the battle. They tell him that Macbeth will be king. Now, Macbeth is not even a thane, a Scottish thane, which is their equivalent of lord, I guess. Yeah. And then they tell Banquo, who Macbeth is with, that he is lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier, that thou shalt get kings, though thou be none. So all hail Macbeth and Banquo. So it's just kind of a brilliant little setup there where they say, you're not going to get to be king, but you will have children that are kings. And Macbeth will be king, and then just sends the two on their way.
Right. Starts everything,
and that
downhill from there.
and so I guess my question is, it does seem focused on Macbeth, but do they appear to him because that is his secret ambition in your judgment? Is there a reason why they choose Macbeth and Banquo to reveal these prophecies too?
I hadn't thought about it that much. Like, I assumed that they are like the gods of Olympus who come down and fuck with humans every once in a while because it entertains them.
Yeah.
And this was like the right moment to do it. But it's interesting that you ask like whether that means that like there was something in Macbeth that they were like drawing out, like it was just part, like that ambition was there.
And it called to them.
Yeah. I almost feel like Macbeth is kind of a weak person, and that this is, if anything, this was like spurring him on. And that's the thing about Macbeth throughout the whole thing is like, I don't think he's ever quite grasped like what these decisions mean. I didn't read him as somebody who I thought was going to be the character, like just from the rough sketch of the character. I thought, okay, here's somebody who's just greedy with power. He just seemed rather to be somebody caught up, and I think I read somewhere somebody describing it as not having the appropriate imagination to even understand what it would be like to have power.
Yeah. And this will definitely depend on like choices the actor makes and
Yeah.
maybe how the whole play is approached in a particular production. But so on the one hand, I agree. Like it seems like greatness or whatever this is thrust upon him more than that he's the main driving force behind it. He has to get spurred on multiple times by his wife and emasculated.
Just like, so it reminded me of the stuff that you talk about in your honor book, where it's like the women are the ones like egging on the men
Yes.
to like for blood feuds and stuff like that.
Exactly, and insulting their manhood, like
Right.
mothers telling their sons they should crawl back in her vagina because,
Right.
So he does have to get spurred on. On the other hand, like Banquo can tell that Macbeth is tantalized. Like right from that opening scene, Banquo knows that this has sparked something in Macbeth.
Yeah, it definitely, like Banquo seems to not take it that seriously.
Yeah.
And then sees it, whoa, like he is taking it seriously. But he's almost joking like, hey, do you think my sons really will be kings? Or whatever, But it definitely planted a seed in Macbeth that it didn't plant in Banquo.
He seems to know that the way these prophecies can work is tempting you into a darkness that you'll never pull yourself out of.
Yeah. I love when Macbeth is talking like with Banquo about like, what are they telling us? And he says, 2 truths are told. This happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme. I thank you, gentlemen. This supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. If ill, why hath it given me earnest of success, commencing in a truth? I am Thane of Cawdor. This is after like part of the prophecy has come true. If good, why do I yield to that suggestion, whose horrid image doth unfix my hair and make my seated heart knock at my ribs?
Yeah, no, that's what's so brilliant about the way this is presented. At first, there are these batty old ladies that are accosting you and telling you nonsense that you want to hear, but it can't be true. And then all of a sudden, the first prophecy comes true. And now it's like, well, but Thane of Cawdor is good, but it's not as good as king. So it just tempts you every step a little bit further.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
Banquo didn't have the equivalent of that. And so, but he's definitely worried also when that comes true. Because Duncan seems like a king that people like and not one that you would want to be usurped and murdered.
Right.
So what do you think about the question that he faces of, and let me get the full quote here. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir? So he says there, right? Like, I could just wait. And if this is true, it'll happen. And I don't have to take active steps.
Right.
And I think that's his plan going in. It's just like this nice thing. But again, it just gets tempted a little further. You start to get a little, it's like, well, I could have this now. Why wait?
It's so much like Fargo. Like,
yeah,
it really is. And so what I was thinking earlier when you were talking about the witches, there is, I guess, a reading where there's nothing supernatural about it at all.
Right. And nothing determined about it.
And nothing determined. And they just sort of read the situation right. Like this guy might be, he's just come back from a successful battle. Like maybe he'll be king. And everything that happens because of a human decision. Then it could genuinely have gone otherwise. But once it gets in his head, like there's no stopping it. And then once he texts Lady Macbeth, like sends her a letter, then it's just a done deal. Like that seed that was planted in her.
Yeah. I do think they are supernatural though. So they're not just women that decide to manipulate men into committing murders. They have this other, they can make ghosts appear. They have this other Greek goddess, which is an interesting aspect of it that comes in. And I love Banquo's description of them. He says, the earth hath bubbles as water has, and these are of them.
Right.
I like the idea that they just bubble up from the earth. And, if you happen to be there, that's because that's another reading.
Like an oracle.
Just an oracle that just randomly will bubble up, just like a wave in the ocean.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it doesn't even matter to me what they are.
No.
It's the planting of the thought of ambition that ends up being the unraveling of everything. And how that happens in this case is just like a kind of an interesting like a very interesting way to sort of get the motivating action going.
Yeah.
Because like they're great. Those witches are great characters. But it could be like really like this is, to me, it's just like about the psychology of the temptation to do a little bit more, be a little bit better, get greedy with the power.
And this is where I think it really matters, like what age Macbeth is, because, you know, if there's someone who's like 30, 31, young, hungry, towards the beginning of their career, and you're offered this huge thing, that's different than, you know, certainly how they play it in the Joel Cohen, but, you know, how I'm sure they play it sometimes in various productions. This is someone who kind of thought that was all over. You know, they're like associate professors. They, you know, they've been associate for like 16 years. They've kind of stopped trying to publish. And then all of a sudden they get nominated for a named chair just out of the blue. And it's like, oh my God, I could totally reassess my life right now and what I mean as I'm kind of nearing the, you know, closer to the finish line than the start. And I kind of like it as someone who had just reconciled themselves to their station.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the witches bubble up and now there's this whole new world of possibilities that's open to them. And that's going to affect like how you make your decision. If whether it's something that you've always kind of been trying to maneuver for and haven't quite seen the right moment, or whether this was something that wasn't even conceivable to you.
Yeah. I can even relate to it. Like, I feel like that could easily happen, you know?
Yeah, we could be the $10 million liberal Joe Rogan, you know? Like, what is
right. If we got that offer.
But we have to do ads again. Yeah.
We're happy. We've been happy. Like, we're just doing what we do. We've been doing it for a long time. And then you could just like level up all of a sudden. And then the temptation for like the wife in this case to be like, yeah, do it. Do you know that would mean to us? Like, and I do like that because it ends up being a critical plot point in the Cohen interpretation, that there is something about them being past childbearing age that really means, you know, as we'll see later on, that he's like, fuck did I do this for? Like,
yeah,
I don't have any sons to like pass this on.
I'm doing this for Banquo's sons.
I'm doing it for Banquo's sons. Like, what did I do?
And you know, like that really matters in terms of the what's fated, what's not aspect of it, because he has no sons. He never will have a son. So what does it matter whether it's Banquo's son or somebody else's son from his perspective? And yet he is so possessive of this newfound power that he's murdered to have that he still can't accept that.
Can we talk about then like the decision to murder, like that, the act and everything that happens?
And the scene with Lady Macbeth.
Yeah, right. So she gets a letter from Macbeth that's just like describes like the encounter with the witches, that he was hailed Thane of Cawdor, by which title before these weird sisters saluted me and referred me to the coming of time with hail king that shalt be. It's like she makes this decision because then it really takes her doing. I guess I have a question for you. Like, is she the baddie? Like, is this just Lady Macbeth's tragedy? Like,
it's a good question because he sends that letter home. And I think he is, at that point, it seems, based on what he said, that he's just going to see how it plays out. And then Lady Macbeth gives this monologue to herself, a very famous monologue. She says, "Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty. Make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it." So she is giving herself like a pep talk to be cruel, ruthless, and no longer a woman also. Like she's saying like literally almost, I have to be the man here. And then when Macbeth is wavering, she pulls out all the big guns and calls him a coward, calls him, basically says you're not a man.
Right. And right before that, right after she reads the letter, she says of him, Glamis thou art, Cawdor, and shalt be what thou art promised, yet do I fear thy nature. It's too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way.
Yeah.
She's just like, you're too weak for this. I need to be the source of strength. And and then there's like repeated imagery of the color white indicating cowardice throughout.
Yes. She, at every point, even when he's seeing Banquo's ghost, she's making fun of how white his face is.
Yeah, and then later on, he speaking to one of his servants is like, "Why are you so white? Like, pinch your cheeks so that you look more brave."
Yeah, right. By the way, like, such a good example, the milk of human kindness, that phrase, like, just comes from here.
Yeah,
right?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's so many little things like that. Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that she is the inciter of this.
Yeah.
Is she the bad person overall? There is something almost worse about like a weak person who commits these murders, but whose heart isn't fully into it. So, in terms of who's the villain exactly, I'm not sure, but I think she's the instigator, and he has to be kind of dragged kicking and screaming, at least initially, for sure.
Yeah. And when he actually decides, so the plot becomes, look, when Duncan, the current king, is visiting our house and sleeping, I'll drug his whatever servants that are keeping guard, and you take their daggers and go kill him. And that's as brave sort of as, which is weird because Macbeth has just come back from a battle and we know that he was successful and we know that he was brave. But there is a moral compunction maybe or a weakness about doing this that he really needs to be ramped up to do it.
Because he has nothing against the king.
No, that's right. And he was like a good king and all that. And he does it, but it's still like cowardly the way that he then, like he's really afraid, I think.
Yeah, he comes back with the daggers. He was supposed to leave them with the drugged out servants to frame
She's
them.
like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why did you bring, like, I have to go take him back. Like,
totally. And like it's such a trope now that the woman who is actually like the engine of the criminal life of the man, she is pretty much like that through the first 2/3, 3/4 of the play, which makes it a little mysterious why all of a sudden in Act 5 she gives the damn spot. So given the consistency of her, trying to humiliate Macbeth to get him to commit more and more murders or to get him to stop feeling bad about, because that's also something she does, is she insults him whenever he feels remorse or regret about what he did. And then all of a sudden she just snaps. Why do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's such a great study in just like the moral character of these characters. My reading of it is that all of that strength that she was mustering to become this like cruel person, and like I love that "unsex me" speech. Like it's just it just fascinated me. I was like trying to look up like what do people say about this particular speech, where she's like, okay, she's like, shed me of my femininity on one reading so that I'm not like weak and have like care, and I'm not a Carol Gilligan, new feminist.
Right. That's pretty much my husband has got that covered.
Exactly. And that maybe that this is also not in her like deep nature, like that the guilt still worked its way in.
Yeah. Maybe she gets that letter, and just because she is a stronger character, she's got a stronger will than Macbeth. Yeah. It snaps in her head, Macbeth has got to be king. And so she goes balls to the wall to make that happen in a way that Macbeth, who is hesitant and more split, I think, internally, does. But there is a part of her that thinks all of this is wrong and is questioning what the purpose of it all is, and probably just her will carried her through the majority of the action of the play. But then when it couldn't sustain itself, it all goes at once. Whereas with Macbeth, it's much more up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, right. And there is just like throughout this theme that initial act of regicide or whatever, like killing Duncan, just was unnatural.
Yes.
Like that this thing that was done was unnatural, and it unravels a lot of things. And I love throughout sort of this theme of like the unnaturalness, like when the old man is talking about an owl ate a falcon, right?
Yeah.
Like the opposite of what's supposed to happen. The horses ate each other. It's like everything is turned like topsy-turvy because of this one unnatural act. It's like you did something really wrong, and there is no escaping the fact that this was really, like, not wrong just like you shouldn't do it, but wrong as in like this was an against nature.
Yeah,
act.
fair is foul and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air, as the witches.
Also turns out from this.
Yes. I think that's like one of the first lines, in the play.
Yeah.
The witches saying that. And it's funny because they also bring it about, and there's something deeply unnatural about the witches. Anytime I've seen any production or movie of Macbeth, they're like unnatural, repulsive, not as they ought to be,
Yeah.
And
right.
I think that's absolutely right. Like killing the king, unnatural, although it was known to happen, and then just starting to slaughter whole families, children, for reasons that you've kind of even forgotten. Once he thinks Macduff is no danger to him because he's of woman born, he says, well, I can leave that alone, yet he can't harm me. But he says, well, let's just be on the safe side, and I'm going to kill him and his whole family. Yeah. And, so I think that part is quite unnatural. And it's also unnatural in that doesn't naturally flow from Macbeth's character. It's not who he is. And he's like trying to be this terrible person that he isn't naturally.
Totally. And he turns into a real Weasley kind of murderer where he's hiring people to do the dirt. And, the first actor was him, but like clearly again, this just isn't in him. And so he's being Weasley, like, and just doing something that's not right. Like paying people or whatever to go kill children and women and
paying murderers.
Yeah.
I take it they were going to be condemned for other murders.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so he's taking people who are themselves already fallen or evil and putting them to work for him. Because like you said, it's pretty much that first act is what he does. Yeah. And even the first act he didn't fully do. His wife had to go back, Lady Macbeth had to go back and plant the daggers. So he didn't even follow through fully on that. It is a weak character, even though he has a steep ascent in the play, but it's a fundamentally weak character.
And he doesn't even the reason he goes and kills the people who are going to be framed for the murder is like, I think he's just afraid. Like he does that out of fear too, because the plan was set in place to frame these people for having killed the king, but he doesn't want to take the risk, so he slices their throat, which I think is the first thing that casts suspicion.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of that. I thought that was kind of part of the plan, but it really wasn't.
No, she was like, we had it covered. Yeah. We had this covered. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think and maybe this is part of his weakness, but he's paranoid. So that's why he ends up killing all the, I don't think Lady Macbeth wanted him to kill Macduff's whole family, and I don't think she even wanted him to kill Banquo and his son. So I think he does get paranoid, and then I do think he kind of loses track of why he wants this in the first place, and like to the point where like there's some very famous speeches I think where that becomes explicit, but even throughout the play he seems like he's forgotten what the whole point of doing this was in the first place, which I think is also true to a lot of psychology of ambition.
I do I'm just going backwards now, but he's like very clearly at certain points like, no more, right? We're not doing this anymore. And she pushes him to it. So that weakness is something I guess like I just didn't expect of the character, but I ended up thinking like, okay, this is sort of a coward. And I like getting to the question of the badness. Like I still don't, I guess I don't read any of the characters as being truly evil. Like it doesn't feel like a tale about horrible people, but rather like a tale of people who got in over their heads and ended up doing horrible things.
It's a little hard to say that about Lady Macbeth, given that she just gets that letter and is all of a sudden hell bent,
just wet with power,
and lust for murder, and regicide. But is she evil? No, I mean, like I think her snapping at the end and just getting a physical attack of deep guilt suggests that deep down she isn't either. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think she had just such a strong will that when she made this choice, this immoral choice, she was going to follow through with it and take it to the end of the line, in a way like in a noir you might, it's just like end of the line, Walter, But then right. I think also she kind of lost track of why she wanted this. I just know that I wanted it, but I don't know why.
Yeah. And was it worth it all? And, I think in the end, the characters around him, like all of the Scottish lords, definitely view Macbeth as evil. And it's interesting, though, that like from my perspective, you see that sort of slippery slope that he went through. And I never thought of him as being just like an actual tyrant. But then he's referred to as a tyrant, as terrible, right? Like, not in the legions of horrid hell can come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth. Right. Yeah. He is viewed by the people because of the things that he's done as just like a true evil that must be toppled. Yeah.
I mean, on the pro side for he is evil is the fact that he just kills whole families or sends people to kill whole families.
Yeah. And without like that much thought. Like, maybe let's take care of them too.
And I do think there's something worse, if you're adding up the non-virtuous points. Utilitarian style. Like to be weak and to still do all these things is worse than being fully committed and strong and doing them somehow. Right. It's not morally worse necessarily, but it's more non-virtuous. And I don't know. That's how I read that. Can we talk about the interlude with the weird sisters and Hecate, or I don't know how to pronounce that, the Greek goddess of magic, who I guess is their manager, the three witches.
Right, it's like their
middle manager.
What like the boss?
But what I wanted to talk about is, so they seem like, here's where I think they have some kind of agenda, or there's some kind of, they're wondering what they're going to do. And they give him information that is absolutely designed to make him feel secure because he's so paranoid about everything. Yeah. He's given information to make him feel secure, which will then lead to his downfall. So they're more than just looking into crystal balls. They play an active role in part of the causal chain of these things happening, if you take them literally, and they seem to just want to do it. Or I don't know if that's how you read it, and I don't even know if that's how I read it, but what do you think?
They seem like trickster gods, like, I guess, to me, where they really are taking delight in this. Like, as you said, like they're giving him these details that make him like, oh, no, nobody can kill me because everyone is born of a woman, Like, that is deliberate fucking with. Like, they're taking some pleasure in this. I don't know why. But
Burnham Wood is going to just get up and walk towards me. That can't happen, right? But I think it is meant to lower his guard somehow. I don't know. I don't get the sense that they're tricksters because they don't seem like, or I don't know. Do they seem like they're enjoying it? Certainly not in the movie. She didn't seem like a trickster as much as, like a deformed, not in the physical sense, but like...
Right. I don't know. It seems so deliberately toying with humans. Like, if they were just delivering fate.
They're definitely not just delivering fate because it feels like they choose the information they give out quite deliberately, but for some purpose. But I don't know what the purpose is. Okay, I think the stuff with Macduff is interesting, that he all of a sudden just leaves his family, and this will be a fateful decision. And we don't know exactly why. I think he is trying to summon some forces to challenge Macbeth because he's a tyrant. But I thought the scene with his wife was really interesting. She really feels he abandoned them. And I don't know, I've always thought of Macduff as kind of a good guy, but it's pretty explicit in the play, and they do a good job with this in the movie where she really feels betrayed by him, that she left them in the lurch, and it turns out she's exactly right.
Yeah. I have a specific note about in this part where Macduff's wife is like, no, look, he left us. And his kid is sort of like nonchalant, like, will you give me another daddy? Yeah. Which is great. Yeah. It just, so much of this play is about what your true character is. Like, she has, at some point she says, when our actions do not, our fears make us traitors. And she's basically accusing him of being treacherous. And I think she's not wrong.
Out of fear, also.
Out of fear.
Yeah, maybe like Lady Macbeth was saying about Macbeth.
Yeah. There's just a lot of this. Like, what are you made of? There's this great part toward the end when Malcolm is talking to Macduff and he's trying to convince him that he would be a worse king even than Macbeth is. And he's describing like what a horrible king he would be to try to sort of test him to see, like, there's just a lot of this talk of what makes you a good person and what makes you a bad person.
Yeah. I also love in that scene after Ross breaks the news that all his children and his wife were killed.
So
and Malcolm sees this as an opportunity to really light a fire. So it's also Malcolm now trying to light a fire under Macduff's ass. Like, okay, like turn this into anger, turn this into like a desire for vengeance. Yeah. And Macduff is, the Macbeth parallels are popping out to me. He says, oh, all my children, all my pretty chickens and their dam and one fell swoop. And Malcolm says, dispute it like a man. And I love this line. Macduff says, I shall do so, but I must also feel it as a man.
I love that line.
It's a great, great line.
It's so good. And that moment in the play, like I felt it, like when he's having this genuine reaction and Ross is like, no, I already told you your wife is dead.
Yes.
He's like, but all my kids?
Yes, all your kids.
And my wife, as I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good moment. It's just a true moment of grief. Like it was like captured it so well.
Yeah. And I just like that idea of, okay, like a man, it's like a real discussion of what a man should do. Really throughout the play, there are these discussions. But in this specific case, what do you do when your whole family has been wiped out? Is the manly thing to do to dispute it and get angry and vengeance? And what Macduff says is, yes, but also you have to feel it. Like you have to feel it as a man. Part of being a man is to remember the things that were precious to me, he says.
Yeah. And I love the theodicy that comes afterwards where he goes, did heaven look on and would not take their part?
Yes.
He's like, how could this happen? Right. And then he says, maybe it's me. And it's a very Job moment. Sinful Macduff, they were all struck for thee. Not that I am, not for their own demerits, but for mine. Fell slaughter on their souls. Heaven rest them now.
Yeah.
Right. He's like coming to terms with the fact that like, they died because of your fucking.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's not heaven's fault that you abandoned. Yeah. So, and now the walls are closing in on Macbeth, and Lady Macbeth has gone crazy.
I love that dynamic that the doctor, who's like very competent at healing all sorts of things, just can't do this one.
Yeah, there's a great line about that. He says, not so sick, my lord, as she is troubled with thick coming fancies that keep her from rest. Cure of that, Macbeth says. Canst thou not minister to a mind diseased, pluck from the memory a rooted sorrow, raise out the written troubles of the brain? And the doctor says, therein the patient must minister to himself. Throw physics to the dogs. None of it, Macbeth says.
Yeah, like I love that. Well, one, the pluck from the memory a rooted sorrow, raise out the written troubles of the brain is just so... Yeah. I know, again, it's like dumb to say, but so poetic. It's like it's so well said about what's ailing her, right? Like, you're a doctor, can't you root out the disease? In this case is a memory, it's a thought, it's a deed, the memory of the deed. And when he says therein the patient must minister to himself, he doesn't say herself.
No.
And he could be talking to Macbeth, like knowing sort of like, j'accuse, like I know that this is also something, right? Because
you're also asking about yourself too, not just asking about her.
Exactly. Or, when she's been the man, she's tried to set aside her femininity. She's unsexed, she's like, whatever, cut off my nipples, whatever it was she said. Like if I had a baby, like she literally is like, if I had a baby that was sucking at my breast, but I needed to take care of this, I would bash its brains in, right? And so when he says must minister to himself, like, that's the man of the house.
That would be brave of the doctor to throw that
no,
in,
I know.
But I like it.
She's wearing the pants. Yeah. And I love his attitude to like, come on, you could do this, doc. And he's like, no, what she's suffering from is a deep moral thing. It's a disease of the mind, but it's a moral one.
Yes. And in that sense, you have to either come to terms with your evil deeds or you will snap like she did. And I think, that probably is the thing, is that she couldn't minister to herself on that.
Yeah.
So she then
So
kills
she
herself.
kills herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it clear? I know that she's described as having killed herself by some other character, but it's not. It wasn't so clear to me that she just didn't die from.
I've always taken it that she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, there's a suggestion that Ross kills her because he sees her kind of raving up on walking, and it's a very spooky scene actually of her just kind of walking back and forth on this upstairs section, and he goes up the stairs, and that's the last we hear of her until the death. But that's not from the play. That's just a choice by Joel Coen. There's actually, it's the same thing with Ophelia. There's a lot of debate over whether it was an accident, whether it was a suicide.
Or whether she just died like from whatever guilt, like the weight
moral
of
guilt, sin.
Yeah.
And then Macbeth gives a very famous short monologue that maybe I'll read and then we can talk about.
Yeah. Because I'm interested in what you.
So this is when he learns that she's dead. He says, she should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
It's so good. Like it could be out of Ecclesiastes. Yeah.
It definitely could be out of Ecclesiastes. And it has that fatalism, pessimism. It's a meditation on just the meaninglessness of our time on earth and what we do.
And this is where, like, when an artist captures something like this so well, this is like the timelessness of it. It connects me to other humans who have all had to go through this like experience of understanding that life feels like a tale told by an idiot, signifying nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're from, when you're from. Like, this is just a human experience.
Yes, absolutely. And this idea of tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, like it's just the days just keep piling on top of each other, but it doesn't matter. This is the Sisyphus thing. You push the boulder up.
And in this case, it's like really like, so if life is meaningless, like what have I been doing?
Yeah. We've been strutting and fretting, and then you're heard no more. So when he says, out, out, brief candle, it sounds like he wants to die. And quite characteristic is if you see her as a suicide and him as he wants to die, like she wanted to die, but he can't bring himself to do that.
Totally. I like that. Yeah. Yet another cowardice.
Yeah. Just weakness, just can't fully commit to anything. And it's ultimately just about self-preservation.
He does sound depressed. Like, I wanted to get your thoughts on what he says right before this, before they tell him that Lady Macbeth is dead, which it just seems like he's expecting. I mean, this is Goodfellas riding around in the car. The armies are coming for him. His wife has just killed herself. I feel like he's seeing that this is the beginning of the end.
Yes.
The reference I was making was like Henry driving around.
With the helicopters circling.
Right. Yeah. But right before they tell him that the queen is dead, there is like a cry of women, and he's like, "What's that noise?" Satan says, "The cry of women, my good lord." And Macbeth says, "I've almost forgot the taste of fears. The time has been my senses would have cooled to hear a night shriek, and my fell of hair would at a dismal treatise rouse and stir as life were in it. I have supped full with horrors, direness familiar to my slaughterous thoughts cannot once start me." Like, what is he? It's not that he's braver. Like, what's going on with him in that moment?
He might be a little numb to all of this. I think, he might be kind of on his way into, okay, this is the end. And he's probably been through so much horror that he doesn't feel it. Or maybe he's
been spooked by ghosts.
He's been spooked by ghosts.
Tortured by like crazy like witches.
And part of him wants it to happen. I mean, I think he can't take the active step to make it happen, but I think part of him welcomes it, and you don't fear the things that you welcome.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, it's a really, like, the weakness of his character was really highlighted in this discussion and thinking about it this time around.
Yeah. So they come for him. They siege the castle. I love the Macduff's just line, make all our trumpets speak, give them all breath, those clamorous harbingers of blood and death, ready to attack. This is actually like, I don't know, again, like I don't know much about the literary techniques that Shakespeare used. And so like there might be a name for this, but it breaks out in these couplets every once in a while. Like, there's not like rhyming throughout, but then every once in a while the characters rhyme, and like it does, I don't know what it does. It really it gets me. Like it's like good. I'm like, oh shit, that was a hot bar. Shakespeare.
Like, turns out.
But it's like it's just like a really good literary technique to just be like they're talking and then rhymes.
Yeah, I think it's all iambic pentameter, but when you do the rhymes and when you don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's no pattern to it. He wants to do something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to talk about the scene where he fights Macduff because they have one last debate about like manhood there. At this point, Macbeth he says, look, just sorry, I have a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born. And then Macduff tells him that he had like a cesarean. He was a cesarean, which, is that not of woman born?
I know.
I might complain to get Hecate back on the line.
I like how if Shakespeare were on Reddit, you'd just be like, actually.
So Macbeth says, accursed be the tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. So like, even though I think he kind of wants to die, he still is admitting that piece of news actually makes him afraid again. And he says he won't fight Macduff, but then when Macduff says you'll have to kiss Malcolm's feet, he actually does pick himself up and fight. And it's almost like for him heroic that he does, because it requires like the kind of will that he probably hasn't shown since, killing Duncan in the beginning. Yeah,
that's right. I hadn't thought of that as like a moment where he finally defeats like the tendencies toward cowardice, like almost redeeming himself.
I wouldn't go that far given all the children he's killed, but
it's like Darth Vader. Everyone's like, oh, he sacrificed himself in the end. Yeah, but like billions of people are dead. I love it. I just have to like read some of this. Like Macbeth says, of all men else I have avoided thee. He's like not trying. He's like, nah, like my beef isn't with you, Macduff. But get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. He's like, I'm too ramped up. And Macduff says, I love this. I have no words. My voice is in my sword. Thou bloodier villain than terms can give thee out. I'm gonna let the sword do the talking.
But my soul is too much charged with blood of thine. That means I've already killed
your family.
Too much of your family. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cold-blooded thing to say, but I think Macbeth doesn't want to kill Macduff.
No,
I think that
I don't think he says it cold-bloodedly. I think this is his, version of milk of human kindness. Like this is like I feel bad about the fact that I already killed your family. Like I don't want to also kill you.
It just also is cold-blooded, even though he didn't mean it. It's like it's pretty like hardcore.
I mean, you could play it in so many different ways.
That's what's beautiful about it.
Yeah, good play.
Good.
Well structured.
And tight. This is undoubtedly the best Shakespeare play I've ever read.
It's up there for me, honestly. But it would be fun to go back and read some more.
I'm super down.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Do you have any last words on it?
No, I'll just say, like, it is weird reading this. It gives me a vibe of reading the Bible, and I think it's because the language of the King James Version is of the same era.
Yeah.
So, like, it feels like more of a spiritual experience to me.
Yeah. And also, I think just because all the stories come from those two sources, or so many. And so you just are constantly stumbling on things that are part of your intellectual and moral culture, but you didn't know like what it was from and artistic. And so it has a kind of like, this is the source out of which like our culture bubbled out of.
Yeah, it is an experience, like a all kind of mystical.
Yeah,
like to read some of these things in the original form.
That's a Joseph Campbell like.
It is Joseph Campbell.
Thought, yeah.
I wanted to ask you one last thing. We're performing kind of when we do this. Maybe you could say that we're in a theater. Should we not have said the title Macbeth?
No, I think you can. I think you have to be in an actual theater. Yeah, then you call it the Scottish play.
The Scottish play. And I was reading about like the superstition, and I guess the belief is that Shakespeare actually used real spells that when the witch. So like maybe that Jew thing was a real. He's just really got it in some book of alchemy.
Where would they find a blaspheming Jew though? Yeah. Well, you know, we could do The Merchant of Venice sometimes. I don't think it's clear that like Shakespeare was just this cut and dried anti-Semite. You know,
what is anti-Semitism? You know?
Just being critical of genocide. All right. Join us next time on Very Bad Wizards.
The great and boss has spoken. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Who are you? Who are you? A very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Good man. They think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have.
Pay no attention to that man.
Anybody can have a brain.
You're a very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Just a very bad wizard.